Happy Friday, y'all. Xander, it was 5 here last night. We had an inch of ice on the pig waters, and was not happy about it. Not happy about it. So, yeah. How are you guys doing tonight? Let's see. So we've got Xander, CB from Huga Homestead. Xander is Dark Lord Minette. Glad you got your power back on. Hey, Sparkman. Cold by you also, eh? It's freaking freezing here. Plus, I see on my chicken cam, I have a goose that is setting in a tub that has a little bit of water. Seems it doesn't want to hop out with some motivation. Yeah. I no, I can't. I can't. I think I got oh, what is that? I had a hair sticking up. There we go. It's a little better. Hey, Tony, our cabin in the woods, Sarah, Homesteading Hustle, and Doug and Carolyn at Holman's Homestead. Hope you guys are doing well. Thanks for being here. Yeah, I mean, I posted a short, and we had everybody's dog bowl, like the heated dog bowls in where they needed to be. And the only one we didn't switch out was the pigs, the adult pigs. Why? Because the stock tank wastes a lot of water because I empty it out every day to every other day. And sometimes, the water heaters run in when it doesn't need to, just because I'll just keep forgetting to plug it in and unplug it and all that. So this morning, I couldn't believe how thick the ice was. And it was 12 when I went out there. But yeah, I heard it was like 5 last night. The goose has issues to start with, and this isn't his first time doing this. Yeah, and I'm sorry you're at work until 1 a.m. Yeah, I can put on a timer, and that's a good idea. I probably should. The hard part is you just don't know, like I need it steadily for the next 4 days, and then, or 5 days, and then it'll be up in the 50s again. So, I'm not breaking ice. I want them to have access to water. So this morning was not fun, and that's my own fault. I was trying to be cheap. Hey, Strange Reality. Hey, Annette Cow Emporium. Hope you're doing well, you guys. So yeah, so there's a lot of ice this morning, and it is absolutely cold. Like we went from nice to cold. So a couple things for some folks. Hey, Milk and Honey Heritage Farms. Hope you're doing well, Heather. So a couple things. I talked to Barb. Well, I messaged with Barb at Barb's Country Home. I don't want to share details because I didn't get permission. So I just want to say that she's doing well. And she should be going home in a week or so. So, and then that'll move forward. I'm hoping to talk to her this weekend. Actually talk to her on the phone because she's got the thing, so that way she can work out the kinks of her voice box not being there and the trach and all that stuff. So continue praying for her, please, please, please. Excuse me. Hey, Gwen, Broke Cowgirl. Hope you're doing well. Loved your waffle video. Excuse me. So she's doing good. And she's been on social media, like on Instagram and stuff. So I'm real excited because that means she's doing well. And then the other woman that I want you to think about and her family is Colleen. I always say Farquharson, but I think it's Farquharson. Colleen, she's in a lot of the live streams, on a lot of videos. She's from Jamaica, and she laid her sister to rest today. Her sister died of cancer, and she publicly posts that, so I don't mind saying that. It was a beautiful service. I attended it via Zoom. And it was just absolutely beautiful. So just keep them in your prayers, please. I'd appreciate it. She's just sitting there enjoying the sponge baths from the young male nurses. Yeah, I agree, Alexander. I hope she does. What a beautiful human being. You should have heard the things people were saying about her. Oh my gosh, this woman was something else. Yeah, it went from cold. It went preteen again. Yeah. So just a quick update on Waylon, and that's why my topic for tonight is what it is. So Waylon seems to be doing a lot better, except that it's really cold and they're little. So they've got a lot of bedding and stuff, but he's eating, he's drinking, he's doing all the bodily functions. And I will say that I am in awe of what is coming out of this little pig. He's probably about, I think Ryan said he's 30 to 35 pounds because he was the bigger one. And they are brothers, him and Hank. And, you know, the first day after, so I think all of you know this because I posted it, but I'll just say real quick. Beginning of the week, Waylon was kind of shivering, didn't look right, lethargic. He had red splotches on his ears. Hey, Kettle Kitchen. So he had like red splotches on his ears. He kept scratching. A bunch of different things that I put together that I was observing, but mainly the lethargy, not eating, and so on. Well, when in doubt, he was due for deworming medication, and I dewormed him. In addition to calling the vet that don't treat pigs around here, but he helped us, and we gave him penicillin and a steroid because the vet thought it was something else. So, long story short, good thing we wormed him. The other thing was we were concerned about is we didn't feel there was enough manure in the pen to justify 2 piglets. It felt like only one was going to the bathroom. So we gave the little guy some fruit, some bananas and strawberries, which he happily ate up, and it got things moving. And when it did, the next day, oh, worms in the manure, like the things nightmares are made of. And we deworm often, so this was shocking to me. Yes, I'm glad you survived the carnival, Gwen. Hello, Ariella. Hello, Jesse and Lisa at Lazy Days Ahead. Yes, they do eat a lot inside or out. So thankfully, they're coming out dead. And thankfully, they are coming out. Let's just say, at least twice a day or more, I am pulling out tons of manure in there from just him of large roundworms. And they are also very many of them. We have not given him any iron. We do not think we need to. He has been given some iron-enriched feed, and then we gave him some other stuff, but I do have iron on hand, so I will look into that. The vet thought, because Annette and Glenn at the Cow Emporium reached out to me and also gave me some great information about the medication, because the lining of the stomach and everything is probably inflamed. So the vet had said it was really beneficial, you know, and helpful that we gave him the steroid and the penicillin for a couple days. So that should help him. But he's looking much, much better. So Tony asked the question, how often do we deworm? I'm a bit over the top. I actually deworm a lot more than most people. We alternate between ivermectin, fenbendazole and Dectamax. The first two are oral. The last one is an injection and also handles lice, mites, and all mange and all that. That's why we do it. The adult pigs get done 4 times a year on that rotation. The piglets, how it works for them is the mothers, the sows, while they're pregnant in their last month of pregnancy, get dewormer medication. That way, when the piglets are born, they were dewormed in utero. Then at about 8 weeks old, or maybe it's supposed to be 8, but sometimes it's 7, depending on when they're leaving here, I deworm the piglets. 8 weeks later, the piglets get dewormed again. After that 8 weeks, they then go on the adult schedule of 4 times a year. We do that because we want to prevent. Clearly, sometimes it's not preventable. But I will tell you, this has been a huge learning experience for me. And I'm glad it was worms. I'm glad it was worms. So the reason why, hey, Andale, the reason why I wanted to do this topic tonight is because I really feel that observing your animals, no matter what they are, dogs, cats, livestock, all that, is so important for you, because that's how I knew something was wrong. Like, if you observe them all the time, you know when something's wrong because you pick up on the little subtleties of when they're not acting right. And so one of the things that I noticed right away when I walked out was Hank was outside, Waylon was not. That's a sure sign something's up, because they're pigs. The way it works around here is the pigs who can see the house are the ones who start the singing. They start everyone else off. And everybody knows that is the feed call, so to speak, right? Here she comes, here she comes. And so what happened was Hank was out there and Waylon was not. And so I, put my bucket down and all that stuff, and Waylon came out. And when I looked at Waylon, he was not acting like he usually does for feed time. Usually Hank is crawling all over Waylon, on his back, all that stuff. And Waylon is fighting back with him, like, get off me and all that. That wasn't going on. Then what ended up happening was I feed the piglets first, and then I walk over to the adult pigs and feed them. I came back from feeding. I saw Waylon eat. And when I came back from feeding the adult pigs, Waylon came over to me. That's not normal. They are out there for at least an hour and a half, 2 hours, licking their bowls long after the feed is gone. And he just was not there. Swine producers here are locked down just like the poultry producers on a large scale. I know the avian flu is in South Dakota and it's not going well. Wow. So he was just all over me and he didn't eat. And Hank ended up eating all his food. It's usually the other way around. So I stopped and I stood there and I looked at him and I took some video of him because I saw him shivering. It was 40 degrees. He should not be cold. His hind legs were shaking and so on. And he just he didn't look perky and bright. But I think that's the real important thing is always overlooking your animals and making sure, because when you see those subtle changes, you're picking up on things quickly. So long story short, I called the vet, and I have a vet who I have made really good friends with, to get help from, even though it's not like he sees them and he won't come talk to them, but he asks me questions. I tell him what we're seeing, and he says, well, come on over to the office. Let's go through the books. So that's what we did. He gave us penicillin and a steroid. We injected him with that right away. And also, like I said, dewormed him. Later in the day, we got concerned. We gave him the fruit. And by the next day, that's when we started seeing the worms, and they're still coming out of him. So sadly, it's really cold out. So they've started going in the barn. So I have to go through all of that. But like I said, thankfully, everything is deceased coming out of him. But the other thing is we need to treat him in 10 to 14 days from the first deworming treatment that we did this week to make sure we kill off all the eggs and everything. But just thankfully he's okay, because he's a really, really sweet little guy. But it's just maddening. And, you know, I was talking to Annette, and I'm not like revealing our conversation, but like, we were just talking about like, well, where did this stuff come from? You know, because we've had it. Well, we had a really wet summer on record here, which is not typical for us to date, at least since we've been here. And so that was something different. The other thing is that we have a lot more wildlife around with the wetness. So we have a lot more birds and chipmunks, and there are a lot of sparrows that come in and out of the pens. They could be carrying it. We have chipmunks could be carrying it, what have you. So I really think it was just the perfect storm of everything came together. But you can bet for darn sure, what have I been doing? Looking at everybody else's poop. Everybody else got dewormed again to make sure, because I don't want that. I don't want it running rampant. So everybody else's manure is looking good after they got dewormed again. So that was cool. Yeah, but roundworm is carried by a lot of wild animals, from what I understand. Roundworms are like the most common one. I think Rebecca at Halbert Farm was saying her horse had them, and when she first got her, and she also had an active worm infection in pigs that she took back. So they're definitely roundworms, and they are vile. I can't believe what is coming out of this little pig. He's so small, and I just can't believe how much is coming out of him. And it's really, it explains a lot, you know, it really explains a lot. Hey, Tina Ladybug, hope you're doing well, my friend. And so it's really kind of interesting. It's been a new learning experience. I don't know all about it. I don't. But I've learned a lot reading over it and stuff. And the vet was really thrilled that was all that was wrong with him. So it's nice to have some penicillin and steroids on hand when we need it. But I'm going to start talking to him about, because the laws have changed with the livestock medication. So I'm going to see if he will prescribe some things to me to have on hand. Yeah, exactly. Milk and honey. I agree. I truly think it was because we were a lot wetter this year. This year was a lot different than any of the other years that we've had here. We were so dry. We were cool. We were wet. I'm hoping now that everything is, I realize parasite kill off takes more than just a couple nights. But we're going to be cold for about 4 or 5 days. It's already cold, like brutally cold. I've had enough. But yeah, so we'll see how it goes. But thankfully he seems to be on the mend. I mean, he's eating. He had, what do you call it? He had more fruit tonight. So that's really good. But yeah, the plunge into an inch of ice on the pig waters was not the way Lisa wanted to wake up this morning. But I knew better. I should have put the stock tank out. But you can bet for darn sure that's out now. So we got that all done. So I wanted to talk a little bit about like why it's so important to observe, right? So yeah, I bet you have, Annette. I bet you have. I saw how much snow you had. We didn't even have a fraction of that. Yeah, it's good to have. Yeah, and Dale, we had an inch of ice on our pig waters. So yeah, I am all about the natural stuff, milk and honey, but I also like we give them pumpkins, we give them the pumpkin seeds, we do all that kind of stuff. We do, but they talk about garlic for pigs. I after seeing this, I think I will probably stick to the deworming medication. Because it's crazy. Hey, Lisa Clovey, welcome in, my friend. Yeah, I know. 6 to 9 years on a pasture. It is insane. I do not believe they will survive here because of the cold. Because we will get really cold for very long. So I'm hoping it sticks to that. But I have not taken down their fence, but I am keeping them in the pen and not on the grass because I don't want it spreading. We did look all around the little pasture area. Hey, Ark Wildman. And we did look around the pasture area to see if we could pick up any. Like I said, they were dead coming out, but still we were picking it up. And we've been raking out the pen several times a day and throwing it in a feed bag and disposing them. So that'll be good. So I'm hoping for that. So I want to talk a little about like what we do for observation. Every time I go out and feed animals, I observe them. Do I look over almost 40 chickens? I'll admit I don't. But I will tell you this with the pigs. When I feed the pigs, I'm watching them from the time I leave my porch to the time I get there. And I'm not an expert, so I'm just telling you what I do. Everybody does something different. But from the minute I leave the porch with my bucket of feed, I am observing them. Like if somebody's not jumping up like they usually do, something's off. It could be a bad day. It could be that it's really, really cold. It could be that it's minus 30 out. I mean, I understand that. But I'm always looking at them. And I watch how they interact with each other. I watch what's going on. Right now, everybody's paired up for the pigs, pig-wise. So Grant loves to jump over Norman. Norman's not thrilled about it. So usually there's a lot of screaming. Eleanor and Fiona run each other over. It's usually chaos when they see me coming. But I'm always watching what's going on because I can see, is everybody's legs hitting the ground right? Is anybody limping when they're running back and forth? Because you're going to see it. And so that's one of the things that I've always done. So minimum twice a day, they're getting looked over. If it's, decent weather and, I'm walking around down there and I'm working on stuff, when they're eating even, I'm going to sit there and watch them, and that's exactly why I was concerned about Waylon, because he just was not acting well. Minus 15 degrees. I have to look up what that is. I have to look up Celsius to Fahrenheit. I'm so bad at it. Minus 15. That's 5 degrees Fahrenheit. Well, we hit that last night. The chickens, do I look them over every morning? No, but when I let them out in the afternoon to free range, I watch everybody to see what's going on. So I try to do that as well, and I watch them walk, and I see if anybody's limping, and that's how we've discovered Bumblefoot before, is watching somebody and seeing who's limping. Or I look at their feet, and in the webbing of a chicken, Sometimes they have bumblefoot in the webbing, which is actually easy to take care of, and you push it out. And I've done that. So that's what I really like about that. Let me just see what you guys are saying. Exactly, Jesse. That's funny. Xander said, I'm watching the chickens the moment I go out to let them out. I watch them go down the ramp in the morning. The ones that come out in the morning, I check the boxes. Yep, absolutely. That's why I think, like, I have the automatic doors, but that's why I think sometimes those things are not helpful. Does that make sense? Because it's almost like you're missing an opportunity. And I'm guilty of it myself. Glenn and I were out today observing the cows on their current feed and judging how long we think we have left. Absolutely. Absolutely. So smart. Yep. And Heather said, yeah, I watch mine for a bit after I let them out, the chickens. Yep. Yeah. And I mean, that's the thing. Like, you know, it's sort of like when you have dogs and cats that are in the house, right? And you're around them all the time and you observe them. But, you know, just looking everybody over is super important. That's what I do, Heather, is, you know, I just talking to them, watching them. I think it's really, really important. And you can bet for darn sure, once I saw the worms in Waylon's manure, that I went and looked at everybody's manure to make sure, because I thought, well, if they're coming out of him, if anyone else has them, they're going to be coming out. So, I mean, it's a pretty vile situation, right? But as much as these things bother me because I hate seeing an animal sick, I'm really grateful for the learning experience because I find it fascinating. And there are some, you know, I wrote a post on Instagram and I did it on YouTube, right? And I put a post on my community tab and I said, I felt like I failed my animals, right? But I didn't fail them. I didn't fail them because I was doing everything in my power to worm them correctly. In fact, do more than a lot of people do, because a lot of people reached out to me and said they were doing once every 6 months. So, you know, giving him the fruit really was a good observation, because I'm going to tell the other thing we saw was a little bit of dried poop on his butt. I'm sorry to be gross, but he had a little bit of dried poop on his butt. So we were like, maybe he's not going to the bathroom either. And I know when Sherman was a piglet, Sherman literally had a blockage by his butt. He had a piece of dried poop that would not come out, and we had to help it. And so, you know, you take an experience where you had something like that, and then you take that learning to the next experience. So the minute we saw a little bit of dried stuff on him, we were like, maybe he's getting what Sherman's got, because he's Sherman's son. Maybe that's something going on there, right? Oh, thank you, Heather. Thank you. Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. Right. I didn't fail. And it's all learning. Right. And I just posted that because the reality of it is the emotional side. Like, I didn't sit there going, oh my gosh, I'm a failure. But it went through my head, like, what did I do wrong? Right? Because I put him in the turkey coop. I Googled, what could turkeys pass to swine? And only one thing came up. It never said anything about worms at all. And I was telling Annette that I felt so bad when I found out that turkeys could have roundworms. So here I am. I tried to do the right thing, and it wasn't enough. Right? But again, that doesn't mean I failed, because I still thought to try and do something. And right, I saw something that was wrong, and right, because I didn't pay attention. Agreed. Totally paid attention. And yes, sometimes even then they die. Even if you've done all the right things, sometimes they die. Hey, CB Hugo Homestead. Thanks, Ariella. But I'm just being honest about the emotional side of me was that, what did I do wrong? Did I cause this? Was I stupid in thinking that other years this was fine and this time it wasn't? All those things, and I was questioning my multi-purpose buildings that we have, even though I did the research, and it's still mind-blowing, right? But the reality of it is they all have worms to some extent. And hey, Lantern Creek. And so one of the things is that I just share the honesty and the emotions, right? But then there's the factual side of me, the logical side that says, you called a vet that refuses to treat pigs and doesn't know how to treat pigs, but you got him to help you. You made a friend with him, and you got the little guy what he needed. You caught it early, which is what we wanted, right? So that's the kind of thing. That's the kind of thing I want to put out there. And it's exactly what Xander is saying. It's when you don't pay attention, it's when you fail, right? And I think it's just really, really important to be observing these guys all the time. And yes, it is very difficult to lose them. Absolutely. And hey, 9 Acre Family Farm, hope you're doing well. That's right. You get a sense for what's normal in every animal and what is not normal. And it's a proactive stance to check things out. Now, Sunday, Ryan said to me, Waylon doesn't look right. Something's up. We watched him. He was laying in the sun. It was a beautiful day. He laid in the sun in the hay. But nothing glaring, just a little bit different. Oh, Joy, I hope you're doing all right. Thank you, but please take care of yourself. Please, please. But please, I'm not beating myself up at all. At all. Okay, I just want to be honest and real and say that I'm an emotional human being, and sometimes I think like that, and then I go, wait a minute. This, and this says this. That's all. Exactly, Jesse, exactly. Yes, it does. And you're right, a lot of animals will not show any signs until it's too late, right? Because survival of the fittest, they can't show those signs. Joy, please take care of yourself. I do pray you're all right. I'm worried about you, my friend. Hey, Connor's Curiosity. So yeah, so we do all we can do. I just offer that observing, whether it's your pets, your animals, whatever, get to know their personalities, get to know what's normal and what is not. Because quite honestly, I'm thankful to have gone through this because I now know what it looks like. Maybe the symptoms of what was going on with him can look like 50 other things, but the fact that I looked at Ryan and I said, look, when in doubt, he's due for worming, we're going to deworm him, excuse me. When in doubt, we're deworming him, and we're going to rule that out. And then the next day, there it was. So I think that that's the important part here, No, I know it's your arm, and I just don't like that you're in a lot of pain, friend. But yeah, I think it's really, yep, agreed, Gwen. I've already started. You are so right. Yep. Like my chicken Karen, if she isn't fussing, something is wrong with her. Exactly. Exactly. Spot on. Spot on. Exactly, Annette. I agree. Feel things that are maybe on the outskirts. I love that comment. Being empathic means that you will feel things that are maybe on the outskirts of normal for them. Learning new steps is awesome. Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's a huge thing. And it's one of the things that Ryan has really instilled in me. Like I think I didn't go in the coop in the morning. He's like, why didn't you go in the coop? You should check them. Like when we first started, he's like, you need to go check the chickens. And I'm like, they're fine. They're fed. They got water. He's like, no, you need to go check them. And that's the thing, he taught me because, he worked on a sheep farm when he was younger and all that stuff. And it was just, you got to check everybody every day. Hey, Rebecca, Touched by Yarn, welcome in. So I think it's just really, really important to do that. Anybody in the chat, like, some of you have already commented, but maybe the rest of you, have you noticed in a pet when something was off right away because they just weren't acting right? Or have you picked up on something, in your livestock? I'm just curious. I'd love to hear your experiences. Emergency is a 5-hour wait. Oh my gosh. That's crazy. That brings me back to my New York City ER days where we would wait 14 hours and then leave because we weren't going to be seen. I notice when they seem stressed. What do you see when they're stressed, CB? Because I think that's good to share with everybody. And while you're answering, I just wanted to say, like, one of the things that I notice is, like if a sparrow flies overhead, the chicken starts squawking like none other. And I'm like, but it's a stressful thing, right? Because they're like, what's going on? Hey, Alicia, Country Mama Musings. Hope you're doing well. Yeah, so I mean, that's the thing. How about the rest of you? Anybody notice some different things in your animals? Oh, so CB said, in my bunnies, they are more shy. Yep, that's a good one. Jumpy. Yep. Gwen said, heck, I freak out when one is doing a death nap and doesn't wake up when I talk to them. Goats, haha. Oh, and Gwen, I know that, Gwen, and you get it because let me tell you, we had piglets doing death naps this year. I mean, I picked up a piglet that I thought was dead, and I was tapping it on the sternum and all that, and it was just laying there, and finally it just was like, good morning. Sometimes it's not just something you notice visually. We can also hear when Toby is starting to get sick or start to want to upchuck. Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, and I think it's really important. I mean, think about it. We do this with our loved ones, right? How many times have, you've been married or partnered with somebody and you've been living with somebody or a sibling and you turned around and you're like, are you getting sick? What's going on with you? You're a little off today. It's the same thing with our animals. And I think that's really, really important. So we will continue to watch that little guy. Sorry, my nose is all stuffed up because this wood pellet stove has been pumping. I've done it to horses too, laying there on the ground, not moving a muscle. I walked up to her and asked, what was she doing? No response. Touched her nose. She jumped up. Rotten stinker. CB said, I weigh the babies regularly to make sure they're gaining weight at the same rate as their siblings. Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. I know people do weigh piglets, and I haven't done that. And I've considered doing it, but I think because visually I've been able to pick it up, I haven't done that. But I can see how weighing the bunnies would be super helpful. Super, super helpful. And it's funny. It goes back to when I was a little kid, and I don't know, somehow a kitten ended up in our house, right? I can't remember how. And so we had this cute little kitten, and it had a belly that was dragging on the ground. And we were like, what is wrong with this kitten? And I always remember my parents say they didn't know what was wrong with it. They thought it was eating our other cat's food. She had worms. And the belly went away when she was done. So I'm really wondering if Waylon will not have such a big belly. So I don't know. How warm is my house? Oh, it is probably in the 60s. Let's see. I'm gonna guess like 65. As it gets colder outside, it gets colder in the house because we're not burning it to keep it high. We try to keep it. We lower it at night because it's too much. Usually we're in the low 60s. I have a problem with the dust too, because I've always had that with winter dust. Let's see here. Yep, no problem. Holman's Homestead. Rebecca says, when my dogs are restless, I get concerned. Yep, smart. They say to weigh baby goats too, but I haven't done it either. I'm there so many times a day, I can tell if one isn't getting enough to eat. That's how I feel. But I can see how with bunnies that would be super healthy, super helpful. JR, my cat, I can tell he's starting to go off by the way he wants to cling to me. Yep. I use an app that has a QR code on each cage for each one. I pulls up on my phone for quick notes and updates. I love that. That's a great tool. Puppies and kittens with big bellies usually are wormy. Yeah, with the stove going. It's a wood pellet stove. We don't run it hot. We don't run it hot because we'll go through a ton of pellets. 72, yeah, I'd be sweating. We watched the chickens run or move, found the beginnings of Bumblefoot just today. Oh, good, you found it. Great catch, Andale. Great catch. Just crank the heater in case the power goes out. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yep, I do the same. Sometimes when kittens and puppies' bellies are hard, they may have worms. Keep looking at the poo. Hey, Annette, our urban homestead. Hope you're doing well. Yeah, it's really super handy. I'm really glad you caught it early, Anne. We had one that required surgical intervention, and it was not fun. But I will tell you this right now, chickens do not show any signs of pain. They will lay there like a trooper. It is unbelievable. Baby bunnies, they say they aren't dead until they are warm and dead. Sometimes you can warm them and they come back. Fascinating. Wow. That's fascinating. Just want to look here real quick.
There's a reason why.
Oh, Joy, you didn't have to do that, sweetie. Oh my gosh, thank you. You did not have to do that. That was so kind of you. That was really kind. Thank you, friend. I just worry about you. Yeah, this same chicken has had it before, had to operate. Oof. I will say I'm not a vet, disclaimer. We had to get scalpels from Amazon. And I like that they are sterile and sealed, and we use them for castration as well as any other issues we have to handle. Bumblefoot is brutal. And it's usually here, that in the bottom of the chicken foot. That's the hard ones. When you get it in the webs, like I have a barred rock that keeps getting them in the web. So it's stretching her web apart, and then we can push it right out. Yep, it's a staph infection. Yep. Always wear gloves. Always. We always wear gloves when we're doing anything surgical. So, Quacha rabbitry. Here, I'll put this on the screen so you guys can see that. Yeah, we always wear gloves and scrub down with some kind of antiseptic afterwards. Yeah, it's brutal. It's brutal. We found the leghorns. They always seem to get the bad bumblefoot. And by the time they limp, it's really bad. So it's really good, like especially with like your chickens, doing once a month checks or once a week checks on them, picking them up and, looking at their feet. We usually watch them as they're walking around rather than having to pick them up all the time, right? Because sometimes they don't want to be picked up. So what we do is while they're foraging and they're walking by the front of the porch, we watch them pick up their feet and we kind of go like this and look. And we can see if they have the big dot on their foot, which is typical sign. Yeah. Yeah, you guys are. You guys do a lot of surgical stuff. Cow Emporium. You guys had some crazy C-section last year with that cow. Hey, Blue, I hope you're doing well. Sending you love and prayers, my friend. No. What we usually do is we usually go in there when it's dark, pull one out, and we have a headlamp on and we're looking them over, or I do it when it's really cold because they're all on the roosts and they don't want to come out. So absolutely. And I think the things with chickens is there's a lot of things that are easily treated. There we go. I was going to say easier to treat, more easily treated versus having to a pig, like, crazy chicken foot watchers. Yeah, that's what we do, Xander, is we watch them walk around and just kind of get a glimpse of what's going on. And that's how I always notice the barred rock, is because when she's walking around, I can see if these are popped up in the web. Hers is easier to spot because like I'll feed them treats at my feet and I will watch them walk over and make sure they're all walking right. Hey, Christine, hope you're doing well. It is more gooder. I do like to do that. I like to give them the treats and stuff so I can watch them. Yeah, they have a really good app for chickens, and I used to do it. I don't do it anymore, and that's because, like, the reality of it is I don't know who laid what because there's too many of them. But it's called Flockstar. I did it when I had my first 12, but now it's just out of hand. There's too many here. I think we should have had like 43, but we just lost. We're losing the oldest ones slowly, so we are just down to just under 40, I think. When he jumped the gate to get back with the cows, I decided he was good to go. Used him several years after that. Glad you're doing well, Blue. Donnie just got me an Andy's frozen custard. It's how he comforts himself. That's awesome. I'm glad you're home too, Annette, with Glenn. It's actually really nice. It's actually really nice to be home doing all the stuff. CB, I love Flockstar. I've used it and I kept up on it and it was fabulous. I just haven't done it. I haven't done it in a while, and I should. Right now, I mean, with all those chickens, we're hardly getting any eggs because they're actually molting when they should be. Usually they like to wait till January, February. But right now they're all looking pretty sad. So I wish I knew who was laying what at this point. I don't even know. Oh, excuse me. So tomorrow is another scheduled pop-up market. I went 2 weeks ago and I was kicking myself that I didn't buy any garlic. They had huge garlic for $1.50. And I didn't buy any because I was being cheap, and I'm kicking myself because I may plant more. Lately, I'm only tracking number of eggs. What does everyone track? I track a lot of things. I'm not really good at it. I'll be honest. I track really closely with the pigs. I track a lot of things for the pigs with their deworming schedule. I track their farrowing, when they were bred, who they were bred with. I track all of that stuff. I have a big, thick pig book that I use that has all my information. So anytime someone gives me advice, I put it in that book. So I track all of that. I track suggestions on how to make animals get better and how it worked. I track the litters, what color they are, if there were any issues, females to males, all that kind of stuff. So I track all that. This year, I did track our meat birds and how much feed we used. I also track hay and how long it lasts us. That's how I figured out our winter hay. And feed, not as much. Like, I don't track the feed costs anymore, I'll admit, because I'm keeping them all. Trying to think what else we do. But yeah. Oh, that's a good idea. I track when I trim nails too. I haven't done that. Because I know that the pigs usually need it in spring when they haven't been out as much. I have to track Lisa when she's out shopping. Thank you, Wells Fargo. Yeah, I'm the same way, Annette. If we run out of money, then I'll go back to a 9-to-5 job at the gas station in town, is what I've decided, because they're paying a lot better money than they used to. When the girls stopped laying and when they started molting. Good for you. Good for you. I know that instantly. I probably should track it, but I know that instantly because my egg sales are down. People are calling me for eggs and I don't have eggs to give them. And I am mad. Gwen says, I track all things that are produced for food here. I track the weights in our garden. I tracked the weights in our garden this year, and I still have to do a video for that, but I got to get the sourdough out first. This is what happens when Mountain Grandma, she just ropes me into these last minute collaborations. Yep. I track all. I don't track the hoof trimming, but yeah, I track all of that too. No worries, Ariella. I'm sorry, CB. I do it because the pigs, I've just kept all the information. That's probably the biggest one I do. I have slacked off tracking the egg levels because I just don't know who's laying what anymore. The majority of them are brown layers at this point. And some of the barnyard mixes, I swear, are laying green eggs. So I have no idea. I have no idea. I just know a lot of them are molting now and a lot are not laying eggs. And they're still laying on the floor. It's ridiculous. I did get a tiny, tiny egg, and I think it was from one of my Morans. That makes a lot of sense, Xander. I like that. Tracking is one of the worst things I am at things. The only thing I did really well was the pigs. Tammy is awesome. Our sourdough video will be a fail first and then a sourdough success. Nice. Yeah, if they lay in the nest boxes, I call it a win too. I was telling Gwen at Broke Cowgirl, I've got those Jersey Giants and the new 12 girls. They don't even go in the coop at night. They're outside on the roost. But they jump up on the indoor to outdoor run door and lay eggs. And they just, I'm like, what is wrong with you people? And then I have the two chickens that we adopted last year who were in pretty deplorable living conditions and didn't have food or water for a long time. And they're egg eaters, and I keep them because I feel like I don't blame them for eating eggs because they ate because there was no food available. So I have a little bit of a soft spot for them. So they eat the ones on the ground. But again, they grew up in horrible conditions. So I would eat my eggs too if I was starving and didn't have any liquid to drink. So bit much. But any of you guys have any questions or comments? I'm just kind of curious. I just can't wait till it warms up again till next week when we get back in the 50s and the 40s. Heck, it'll be in the 30s. I'll be thrilled. I just can't get how up. Oh, and here's the funny part. Well, I'm waiting for you guys, but apparently everyone in South Dakota forgot how to drive overnight. So it's just crazy. Yeah, I'm doing good, Annette. I'm doing good, thanks. I rarely have any that don't lay in the nest box. I do have someone that occasionally eats an egg. Yep, they survived how they could. Got a new girl this year, grew up just fine with the others. She will go and lay her eggs in the food dish. And if you don't want to track anything, you don't have to. That's another thing I used to track is like when they should start laying and when they switch over from chick starter to regular feed. And Anne, don't feel bad. I swear mine are holding on to their eggs lately so they can lay under the building that Waylon and Hank are in. Because the minute we let them out, they all go running under there and they're laying eggs under there and we have to go down there. Happens every year with the morons not remembering how to drive. Yeah, I mean, it's just, I couldn't believe it. There was people off the road everywhere. I have fake eggs in the nest. They don't care. They kick them out. They kick them right out. The driving thing must be universal. Oh, yeah, North Dakota, too. I saw some folks in North Dakota post trucks off the side of the road and everything. You know, Heather, once they start eating them, they start eating them. It's not that they have a reason to, because they're getting fed. It just becomes an awful habit. It just becomes an awful, awful habit. I have, they look like golf balls, but they're actually from a ball mill for mining. And what I do is I just put one of them in there in each one. Yeah, they kick it out. I know, it's crazy. Let me just see here. Yeah, rollaway nest boxes would be nice. I flew out of Sioux Falls yesterday. What's the temperature in your area? Let's see. Right now it is 18 degrees. And last night, I think we got down to 5. Let's see. It is really cold in our area. I'm about 100 miles north of Sioux Falls, and it's 22 degrees. Woo! Oh, man. I'm glad you're okay, Xander. Yeah, it was kind of decent yesterday. I don't know what the temps were, but it got really cold as the day went on here. Mine are there because of the chicken snake eats when he's a goner. Yeah, it is cold. It is cold. It got so cold yesterday. I mean, we had snow yesterday, so we are thrilled that it wasn't a lot, but I'll take snow any day as long as the weather gets warmer. All right, guys. Well, I'm going to get going. We're at an hour. So thanks for coming tonight. And I hope that you all have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. I am going to hibernate, go to the pop-up market, and keep an eye on Waylon. That's about it. You can keep the snow. Thanks, Spartman. Thanks. You can keep the sub-zero. How about that? I don't want that. If we could stay at least in the 20s all winter, that would be great. That would be awesome. But I appreciate you guys. I hope you have a great weekend. Stay safe, be well, and love to y'all. Take care now. Bye-bye.